Do you guys want to know the easiest way to be let down? It's having the expectation that people owe you anything, even a simple thank you. The harsh reality is that people are going to disappoint you. We are humans, which means we're imperfect. We make mistakes, and unfortunately, we aren't always super kind. The phrase "no one owes you anything" is such a simple but such a significant phrase. Though I do believe that this phrase holds a lot of truth in many contexts, but in no way does this give abusive people an avenue to justify their atrocious behavior. So what does the phrase "no one owes you anything" really mean? Currently, we live very much in an age of entitlement. I'm sure at some point in our lives, we've all met someone who acts like people owe them something or like the world owes them something. I think the phrase "no one owes you anything" isn't always applicable to all situations, especially when you're talking about people that are close to you, like your family, your cousins. For instance, if your parents are super abusive, of course, you deserve an apology. And in that context, I don't think that phrase, "oh, no one owes you anything, your parents don't owe you an apology," would be wrong, right? To have that mentality. Because in a way, you're telling a person that it's okay that they're being abused and that they don't deserve an apology, which is completely wrong. They do in fact deserve one. I do think, however, that having this mentality of "no one owes you anything" in the context of friendships and romantic relationships is really important to keep in mind. I think a lot of people struggle to understand that you can do so much for a person, but they still don't owe you anything. I always hear people say things like, "oh, I did so much for them and look how they did me," or "I can't believe they would do me like that after everything I gave them." You have to do things because you want to. Otherwise, if you're having this expectation that you want people to reciprocate the same things you do for them, you're going to be disappointed. I see this in a lot of people, and including myself in the past, that you think because you give a person your all, you're entitled to some kind of special treatment, and that now they're kind of obligated to do the same thing for you. But in my opinion, I don't think this is even true or even healthy, honestly. The truth is, it doesn't matter how much love, how much gifts, how much support you give a person, they're still not obligated to reciprocate that to you. The ideal situation would be for people to give back that same energy you give them. But honestly, these are very unrealistic expectations, and I think this is why people get hurt so often. But when you do things without expecting anything in return, you're doing things because you genuinely want to, you have genuine intentions, and you end up less disappointed in this way. Just because you did all these amazing things for a person doesn't mean they're obligated, for instance, to love you back. And I see this happen in a lot of people where one person does so much for the other, but the other person just doesn't want to be with them. And that person who gave their all has a lot of trouble moving on, or feels like because they did all these things for this person, that person has to be with them. But the reality is, like, you can do so many things for someone, but they still don't owe you anything. I think people should in fact apologize when they do shitty things, for instance, like cheating. But the truth is, people are not always nice and they might not apologize. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't move on. Because if you stay waiting for an apology that you might never receive, you're only wasting your time. By not having expectations, you're setting yourself free from a lot of frustrations. As humans, we want to feel seen, we want to feel heard. And when someone apologizes to us, we feel recognized. I think a lot of people actually don't care so much about apologies, but we believe that we do. People and the universe do not owe you anything. You can feel obligated to do stuff, but you can't hold those same expectations and expect that those people have the same values. You might go to the store and see something that you want to get your significant other. You should be getting them whatever that is because you want to give it to them, not because, "oh, I'm gonna buy this, so then they buy me something." Or if it's someone's birthday and you see something really cool that you want to get them, you should buy it for them because you want to, and it's your way of showing love. But you shouldn't be having this expectation that, "oh, now they need to get me a birthday gift." I think it's also really important to keep in mind that people also do not owe you explanations. Now, if you do give explanations, that is great, and you definitely can be shitty for not giving explanations in certain contexts. I just really want to emphasize that we're not always going to be treated the way we want to be treated. People are not always nice, and once you kind of lose that expectation that people are going to be kind to you, that just because you would apologize, they are also going to apologize. Once you start letting go of those expectations, you're going to find yourself getting less hurt. I promise you. Once you realize that people don't have to be kind to you, you're really going to appreciate when people are kind to you. A lot of us take nice people for granted. And like I said, once you lose this expectation that people are supposed to be kind to you, that people are supposed to be good to you, it's really easy to point out some really awesome people. And that also makes it easier to point out the people that you do not want in your life. You'll learn to avoid those who harm you. And remember that you do not owe them anything either. Just like no one has to respect you, you also don't have to respect anyone. It's all up to you in terms of how you want to go about your life. If you want to give respect to others, that is great. But like I said, try to let go of the expectation that you are deserving of respect, because again, people will disappoint you. But if you're doing it because you want to, and that is just a value that you have, then when people are disrespectful, when people aren't nice to you, you're not going to be hurt. Once you realize that people do not owe you happiness, especially when you're in a relationship with someone, you're going to be freed from expecting something that isn't likely to be. It's really rare to see somebody make somebody so happy, but something I really want to emphasize here is that people will not always deliver this, and we have to learn to accept that. That's just the way it is. I'm not saying that you need to completely disregard your feelings, but I think just being able to recognize that like this is something normal and people are shitty, it can help you deal with your feelings of sadness and honestly just let go of things easier. Like with the example of cheating, yes, when someone cheats on you, of course, you're deserving of an apology. But the thing is, people will not always deliver. That's where this phrase of no one owes you anything kind of comes in. It doesn't mean it's awesome. But again, people are imperfect and you just can't hold them to these expectations because we're all average. It's very unlikely you're going to meet a person who is going to treat you perfectly, who's never going to make you sad. It's just honestly really unrealistic. When someone does something for you, they do it because they want to. Because in some type of way, you mean something to them and it makes them attracted to you and they want to give you something. It makes them want to please you. They're not doing it because they feel obligated or because they feel like they owe you something. And if they are doing it for those reasons, then that is questionable. For instance, your friends. Your friends are your friends because they like you. And they're making the choice to like you because also no one has to like you. There's someone who doesn't like you and you haven't done anything to them. You've always been really nice to them, but they just decided they don't like you. And here's another reminder that no one is obligated to like you. Once you lose this expectation that people are supposed to like you and then you meet people who don't like you, it's not going to hurt your feelings as much. I think about this like when I was young and there was people who didn't like me for like no reason and I would get all up in my feelings about it. But the truth is they are in charge in how they want to feel about me. Just like I can't force them to like me or to think a certain way, they also can't do that to me, right? Just because you put in a lot of work into loving someone, that doesn't mean you're owed a relationship. It's honestly up to the individual to find someone who they're interested in and for that person to be interested in them just as much. You can be the most perfect person in the world, but you're still not owed a relationship. I do think it's important that we are civil with one another and that we do owe each other basic respect. And this all seems really easy to give, right? But the truth is people don't even know how to deliver basic respect. So if you're having this expectation that you're going to get basic respect from others, again, it's very likely you're going to be disappointed. A lot of people don't have basic social and communication skills that are required to be able to deliver respect to others. And I think a lot of people don't even understand how important giving respect to other people actually really is. So if you're here getting hurt by someone who doesn't even understand the importance of respect, I just think it's silly to be frustrated by not getting respect from someone who doesn't even know the importance of respect or values it. Because at that point, that person's not thinking about you or anything like that, but you're here thinking about them instead of using your precious time for other things. People are rarely going to fulfill the needs you have as a person. You might get yourself in a very victimized mindset, like, oh, I'm such a great person, I don't deserve this. And you don't, you don't deserve that. Instead, try to work on giving yourself your own happiness and fulfillment instead of waiting for others to give it to you, because you're very likely going to just stay waiting. This idea that no one owes you anything, honestly, I think is amazing news, because this means you can stop being so sad when people do shitty things and disrespect you. You can finally stop stressing about the moments in which people disrespect you and treat you like shit. It's definitely not the most heartwarming message, but I think it does hold a lot of truth and it'll definitely save you from a lot of disappointment. Now, I've been saying don't have any expectations, but I think It might be useful to have the worst expectations. So when things don't work out the way that you wanted them to, at least you weren't expecting it and you can be a little less sad. But then when things do go the way that you wanted them to, you're going to find yourself really surprised and happy. That's all I have for y'all. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.